Back with a win. Yes, people. Welcome back to another tactical analysis with my good friend Rami from the Stats Optic. As always, all these links will be in the description. Today, we are analysing Bournemouth 0, Arsenal 4 in the Premier League. A convincing and comfortable win for the Gunners. Let's get straight into it, Rami. So, talk us through the match report here today. 12 shots Arsenal, 8 shots Bournemouth. Probably shows a closer game than it probably was. But in real honesty, it was a blowout. Let's be honest with it.
Yeah, I mean, straight dominance from the get-go from us. I think we capitalized on our chances and our shots taken. We were just clinical. I think it's something good to say. We spoke last time how really we only had 11 goals in 6 games. And we come today and now it's 4 goals on a game, which we really needed, I think, for confidence-wise going into the City game. We needed the fluidity. We needed, the chances to create. It was the sort of the perfect game for us before.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% as well, especially about the scoring the 4 goals. I mean, in every game this season so far, right, we're still unbeaten. But I do think in every single game, there's been an element of nervousness. I'm not going to go as far as saying we rode our luck. For example, the Everton games, when we reviewed that, we both said that it was a deserved Arsenal victory. But at 1-0, it still is a little bit shaky towards the end where you never know what can happen. In this game, for the first time this season in the Premier League, I was comfortable. Feet up, game was completed. Reminded me of the PSV game in the sense that by minute 57, 60, there wasn't really much to play for. We actually killed off a game, which is what I've been crying for this Arsenal team to do. As you see from here, look, 12 shots. It's not like we had 20, 30 shots today. We were very, very clinical with the chance. We had 8 shots from open play. Obviously, 2 goals from 2 goals from penalties, another goal from a set piece with Ben White. Yep. Really convincing victory overall. So as we move into the attacking sides of both teams, this has been a stat that we've started to implement in recent weeks here on the channel. So with Arsenal, there's a lot down the right-hand side on this occasion. So talk me through the partnership with Bukayo Saka out there.
Yeah, I mean, look, we had Ødegaard really being very influential, and it reminded me sort of the PSV game where when we built out, Ødegaard was coming in deep, and he came and helped Declan Rice out in build-up. So it was like the 4-2-4 build-up. And in this game, I felt like Ødegaard came deep, but he was also very, very influential in the final third. And I think that helped Saka a lot because I felt like in the North London derby, we needed more Ødegaard closer to Saka. And we got that today. And it was the perfect, 3 of the Ødegaard, Saka, and Ben White. And they all worked in tangent all together. They did very well. And I think that really helped us going down because we had a lot of space on the right-hand side today.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And one thing I will say on left-hand side, with 32% of the attacks coming down there, Jesus did really well today to keep his width at times. I was in the Tottenham game, I was saying that because Jesus is a striker, and this is not a detriment towards Jesus one bit, because if I was a striker playing left wing, I'd probably do the same thing. He kept cutting inside and coming narrow. And although that helped him get more involved with chances and the attack, what we actually needed from Jesus was a touchline winger to spread the defense out. By playing wide today and keeping his width, although that meant he was out of position a lot of the time because he's naturally a striker, it meant that it gave more space, as you said, to Ødegaard and Havertz in there, who I thought had a much better game today than they both did against Tottenham the week before. So I agree with you 100% with that one. Now let's talk about the heat maps of both teams, the attacking side. So as you can see with Arsenal on the right-hand side, right, heavily weighted to the right-hand side in this case, whereas Bournemouth was a bit more balanced. Talk me through what you derive from this.
Yeah, I mean, look, we were saying the Saka, Ødegaard, Ben White link-up was amazing. And I think even in central areas, we were able to just go out wide, I think we attacked quite a lot built out from the left-hand side. So from the Gabriel, Zinchenko, and Havertz, we were able to just take the ball and then switch play. And a lot of the time, we saw that scenario come up, and it came for the first goal when Nketiah brought the ball from the left-hand side, and it was just a complete switch into Saka. Saka then pinged it right back. Ødegaard pinged it into the back post, and the goal was created. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a great show. It means that Saka's getting more involved, and sometimes you feel like he's out of game sometimes when the ball is being like the Tottenham game when the ball was coming back and forth. But yeah, I think it's a good sign, and I hope that this Saka is available for the City game because we're going to really need that type of attacking dominance.
Yeah, 100%, man. Saka is the only natural right winger we have at this club, I want to say. Even when Reece Nelson goes out there on the right-hand side, same with Fabio Vieira, they're not natural right wingers in that respect. So Saka's so pivotal. Again today, got his goal. Very unselfish in the fact he gave away 2 penalties. Because if you look at it, I know hindsight is a brilliant thing, but if our natural penalty taker took both those penalties today, he could have got a hat-trick in this game. So it's one of those things. But yeah, Bukayo Saka is so influential, and it was proved again today. Brilliant performance from him. Now let's talk about the XG. So the Arsenal shots, I do believe, are on the left-hand side, the blue ones, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Whereas the Bournemouth ones on the right. Now, 3.47 for Arsenal to 0.69 for Bournemouth probably suggests the score was a correct result. Although I will add as a caveat that Arsenal had 2 penalties. Therefore, our XG was majorly boosted in that respect. But one thing I will say is we spoke about this before on the channel. Look at where the shots are coming from. Inside the box, central areas. Very good chance from Arsenal. Similar for Bournemouth, to be fair. Like their ones look very similar. Look, if anything, it looks like it's symmetrical right down the middle of the chances, left and right. But yeah, one thing I will say, especially for Arsenal, is look how cloistered our chances are. Really good attacking areas, really good chances, not just pop shots from outside the area or from tight angles. Really impressed.
Yeah, exactly. I think when there's no desperation, like I felt like in the United game, when there was towards the back end of the game, when there's desperation, or in the Tottenham game, when we had the last 10 minutes of just us popping shots, you could see the shots were more outside the box and they're more frantic. But when we're more composed and we have more time to play and create our spaces and open the game up, just like we wanted, you know, Ødegaard did some great creative play today. He had, I think, 2 big chances created. He played Nketiah in the first half. I don't know if you remember, where he just chipped him over. And it felt like that type of creativity opens the game in terms of these type of good chances that are created. So again, we always say it, the good chances, we want them closer to the goal, of course. But again, individual brilliance always helps when it comes to this type of shots taken.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And we've said this before on the channel, man. Martin Ødegaard is our creator. He is our magician, our maestro. Good things tend to happen when he gets on the football. It's no coincidence that Arsenal won this game 4-0 today, and Ødegaard's one of the candidates for man of the match. It's never going to be a coincidence. Equally against Tottenham last weekend, Arsenal drew that match, and Ødegaard was basically non-existent. Those two things are not, they're not just uncorrelated in that respect. They definitely are correlated between those two things. That Martin Ødegaard has a massive impact on how well Arsenal attack and play in general. So let's look at the average player positions for both football teams. So if you look at Arsenal right here, right on the right-hand side, you see Gabriel's staying very wide to allow obviously Zinchenko to slot into midfield. Saliba also, there's a massive gap between them two. And Ben White on the right-hand side. Declan Rice holding that like defense position. And then, of course, you've got basically that front 5 in many respects with Jesus, Havertz, Nketiah, Ødegaard, and then Saka there. What do you make of that Arsenal average position?
Yeah, I think something that I'll point out as well is the David Raya one. I think he's the one that stands out more because when we were in build-up, we built up, again, like I said, down the left-hand side quite a lot. And we had Zinchenko inverting, and he did really, really well to change on whether he wanted to be a touchline or in the middle of the park. So he was able to help Declan Rice and come in and, link up, switch play, be that outlet for the forward line. And I think we saw quite a lot in the first half where Nketiah was getting long balls, and I think he was doing quite a good job in the first half. And it was surprising because everyone wanted Reece Nelson to play in the left wing, but Nketiah was the reason why the penalty was given, and the reason why the first goal was built out in from open play. So I think he had a great game. We can see that. Look, Ødegaard's even further than Saka in terms of positions as well. So, I think it was a solid job. I think everyone did well. Everyone knew their role. Everyone was close to each other. Jesus, again, I think he did a great job. Even though I would like to see him down the middle, you can tell that he's instinctively wanting to be in the middle and helping the play and influencing the play. But it means that when that happens, we have Havertz coming and becoming a touchline, on the touchline to keep the width, and Zinchenko giving him the freedom down the middle. But overall, I think it was great.
Yeah, 100% agree in that respect as well. Now let's move on to the clips from the game. So as you can see here, this is from minute 41. Arsenal already 1-0 up. So the build up for Arsenal, they build out using a 4-2-4. You stay here, but with Raya being an extra man defense, similar to his role at Brentford. And this is something we're seeing more and more from goalkeepers nowadays, where they are basically slotting in there and become an extra player to play out the back from. And the thing about Bournemouth is I respect them 100% because you agree with this, I'm sure. Very brave in the way they play. They're first to attack, they're first to press, but that also makes you very easy to play against. And you don't want to be labeled that type of team. I was going into this game, of course, I did not believe Arsenal would start this team. I couldn't believe it. A lot of players came back from the dead almost.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to be out until maybe even missing the Man City game. The Rice's, Salibas, the Saka's back was obviously massive boost to us. But regardless, I was going into the game thinking, you know what? I'm really happy it's Bournemouth. That's a good team to play against because they were able to press us. But what that meant is we were able to pass out from them. So how did this formation, this 4-2-4, as you suggest, how did that help us in build-up, especially from the back?
Yeah, it allows us to be vertical. And I think being vertical helps us to create space when you are able to have the option to turn and a man is, when you open your body up and a man is directly there for you to play the pass, it's much easier when you're being pressed. So I think it helps us a lot in terms of building out quick and building out with options, because teams now, they either press us or they sit back on us. And when they're brave like Bournemouth, they come out nearly man-to-man, high up. We want to become fluid. We want to be fluid, so we want that space. And yeah, I think it's something that we saw David Raya at Brentford, and he did the exact same. They would use the keeper, and then they'd have the 2 defenders or the 3 defenders on the side of him, waiting to just ping the ball out either from the back or choosing to play, long balls. And I think the 2 options that it gives us, it's good. It allows us to, based on scenario, to choose what is the best option at that time. And yeah, I think it was the perfect way to play today.
I agree with you 100% in that respect as well. Another point I want to make out from the screenshot is look at Odegaard's position here. Now, whenever a team plays against Odegaard, just like the same De Bruyne and probably Bruno Fernandes as well, and James Maddison for Tottenham, you always want to identify the creative midfielders. And more often than not, teams actually pick a player to stand on that creative midfielder, normally the central defensive midfielder. But when you've got your creative midfielder dropping into a defensive midfield position, if anything, deeper than Declan Rice, it gives an option to that CDM. Do you run and keep on Odegaard and then abandon your position, or do you shift him onto someone else? And I think we did really well in that respect today. It was the same thing that Maddison was doing, where he was dropping in for Tottenham and Arsenal didn't know really whether to press him with Rice because Rice meant to hound him around the pitch or shift him onto someone else. So I think just being a little bit sometimes, I want to label it as not what you'd expect, being a little bit like, oh, that's unpredictable. I can actually help you at times. I saw that a few times from Odegaard today, dropping really in deep to receive the ball and actually letting Rice and Havertz go beyond him. So that's something I'd also point out from this screenshot as well. Moving on to the first goal. So as you can see here, Odegaard's got the ball, and look, I mean, you cross it from this direction, you're probably thinking that ball's going nowhere. But back post runs in Gabriel Jesus to flick it back across goal, comes off the post, and Saka's put it in the back of the net. So what do you make from this screenshot here? And by the way, what a pass from Martin Odegaard.
Exactly. Yeah, no, great. This is what you need from a creative midfielder like him. You want him to be available in build-out in the first phase, and in the final phase, you want him there, influencing, creating, shooting, everything you want. And yeah, Saka, great space. He gave him the space to come in on the inside, because you can see the run that he made on the outside. So it allowed him to take a touch, look up, and he saw 3 players in the box. And I think something that's really, really, I think Havertz did really well here is he dragged 2 defenders to him, because he made the run directly in between them. And they didn't know whether or not to stay with Havertz, because they didn't know if the ball was going to him. And it's almost like Jesus is the second striker in this scenario, because he comes and lurks at the back post. So Havertz did really well here. And yeah, I think overall it was as if the same chance as Jesus last week at Tottenham. So yeah, except this chance it was came off the post, so he's getting closer.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially in the fact that Havertz making that run was really good. And also look at the amount of players in the box right now. Saka, Nketiah, Havertz, Jesus, 4 players in the box waiting for that cross. That's really good. How many times do you see teams attack, right? And their false 9 striker drops in, and you get to a point where it's a really dangerous area, and there's maybe 1 player in the box, if that. If you want to score goals, the vast majority of goals in football come within the box. You're going to need players in the box one way or another. So we like the fact we attacked in numbers here today. And look, Saka from this position, you're thinking, look, the cross is going nowhere near him. He doesn't give up. He stays in the box. And lo and behold, he's the one that gets the tap in. So it was absolutely fantastic in that respect. Now moving on to the second goal here. So as you can see, another pass, this time through Zinchenko. I believe there was a link up there. And then I believe it was Max Aarons that slide tackled Eddie Nketiah. I don't know what he was thinking to slide tackle him, to be honest. Stonewall penalty. But the run was good from Nketiah overall, and obviously we did really well to attract the tackle, because I feel for Aarons because it was a tackle to go for, but as they always say, play with matches, you're going to get burnt. If you go to ground in the box, you're running a huge risk. So I would ask you whether you believe it was a penalty, but I think we all agree it was a Stonewall penalty. So I guess I want you to analyze then the move as a whole. Who really impressed you here?
Yeah, I think Zinchenko just class with the pass. I think we all know his ability, and I liked seeing him very high up today. I thought he had great influence in the final third as well. So I think this is a great show of his quality. And I think look, Nketiah, he did well to carry the ball. This time we didn't really switch play. We kept attack on the left hand side. So it was as if with this playing with a bit of unpredictability, like you said before. So I think overall, just individual quality allowed us to win this penalty.
I agree with you. And would you also make of Odegaard taking the penalty today? Because he's the captain. I'm not sure whether Saka gave it to him or he demands it off Saka.
Yeah.
Who would you rather be the penalty taker? Would you rather Saka, Odegaard, or even someone else like Jorginho, for example?
Look, I mean, if Jorginho's on the pitch, someone with a track record that is just undeniable, whenever he takes a penalty, you just feel like he's just going to score. But when Odegaard or Saka are on the pitch, I think it's good to have them both. Get the keeper a bit confused as to who's going to take it. It seemed as if Odegaard's taken the away penalties and Saka's taken the home penalties. That maybe that's something that we need to see more. But we saw that, I can't remember what game it was.
Palace, right?
The Palace game. There you go. Yeah, it was the first game of the season. So yeah, we'll see whether or not. But I think I'm comfortable with either. Maybe Martin Odegaard for me can take the pressure off something like that because he's a captain for his club and country now.
Yeah, because I remember after the Palace game, I made that joke in that respect. I said, maybe it is Saka on home penalties, maybe it is on away penalties. But it does seem like that's the case. Now, maybe that's because Saka missed a penalty against West Ham, and obviously he missed another one, I believe. I can't remember what game, but it was another game he missed a penalty as well in a game for Arsenal. So maybe that's tactical. I've always thought that there should be one penalty taken, in my personal opinion. I feel like Man City a few seasons back didn't have a designated penalty taker, and they missed a lot of penalties that season. Ever since Haaland's taken over that role, yes, Haaland might have missed a couple of penalties, but for the most part, he's been their penalty taker, and they've converted far more than they have done in previous seasons. So I'm always of the, maybe you could call it the traditional old school mindset of having a set penalty taker. But at the same time, right, if you're a professional footballer, especially attacking professional footballer, the penalty is going to be in your hands. You should score it, especially nowadays with the fact that keepers aren't allowed to leave their line now, and they're far more strict on that. So Odegaard and Saka both have the capability to score their penalty. Whoever steps up needs to find a way to bag it at the end of the day. Moving on to the next slide here. So obviously the 3-0 happened. We have no debate over that penalty as well. That was Stonewall. I don't know what the guy was doing. I said in my stream, it was like he pressed the wrong button on his PlayStation remote going around there. Havertz tucked it away. So it was nice to see Havertz pop his cherry when it comes to scoring a goal for Arsenal. It's about time, man. The best part was hearing his chant, to be honest, man. Best part. But yeah, now we move on to later in the game where Smith Rowe came on. And this, for me, is really highlights everything about Smith Rowe, because I'm not the biggest fan of Smith Rowe. I've come out and said that I'm not the biggest fan of Smith Rowe Havertz. I don't think they're intense enough to bring what I believe Arteta wants to bring to Arsenal Football Club, which is a really fast-flowing gegenpress team, just like Klopp was implementing at Liverpool, but then adding that same technical flair to that team, which I think maybe like a hybrid between Liverpool and Man City in that respect. I just think Smith Rowe doesn't quite bring that. And here today, Smith Rowe had a fantastic chance fall on his right peg, and he dragged it really wide. I don't believe did the keeper even make a save?
Keeper saved it.
Keeper saved it. So what do you make of this chance here?
Look, that's a high XG chance. That's probably as high as you can get. But for me, I think Reece Nelson did really well to lay Smith Rowe here. I think Reece Nelson had a great cameo when he came on. And look, he warrants a start, but I think he's being load managed right now in terms of fitness and injury. And I think Arteta came out and said that in the press conference before the game. So maybe now we understand as to why he didn't start. I think Smith Rowe here, he has to tuck it away. I think he's got lovely quality. I think he's someone who can pause with the ball and then attack at the defender, and he can run at the defender, be unpredictable onto what side he can take it on. But for someone that hasn't started a lot so far since he's come back from injury, it's sort of acceptable. But if we were down at 0-0, imagine, it's something that you want a bit of ruthlessness to just take the chance and score. But yeah, I think I just wanted to see what your views were. That's why I really had it in.
Here's the thing about Smith Rowe, right? I have no doubt about his ability. That was proven 2 seasons ago in the year we almost got Champions League. He's a quality player. But one thing about Smith Rowe is the guy never lashes at the ball. And I appreciate, I'm always one to say that you don't need to shoot as hard as you can. Place it in. Odegaard's prime example of this. When he shoots outside the box, it's never a rocket. It's just precision to the bottom corner. But I think Smith Rowe at times is just a little bit too relaxed with his shot. A little bit too calm. I understand that it's good to obviously try and remove the pressure from the situation and understand that it's a ball, just strike it and be as confident as you can in your finish. But I feel sometimes it's just a little bit too telegraphed, a little bit too composed in that respect, and too calm. Where sometimes in this position, right, you're one-on-one with the keeper basically. Just put your foot through it. I understand you don't have to smash it because then they might go over the bar like Jesus last week against Tottenham. But at least put your foot through it in some respect to make it so that you don't give the keeper a chance to get down and make a block on it. Look, I understand that Arteta's not a massive fan of Smith Rowe. I think he keeps pushing that can down the road saying, oh, he needs to stay fit. He's doing well in training.
Yeah.
If he was that good, he would have got him back into the team way sooner than he has done.
Yeah.
I think at the same time, I agree with you. Smith Rowe is a very technical player. And I think the certain things he does on the football is not something that a lot of players in this world can do. The ability to stop on a dime, turn left, turn right, impact the game from both feet. It's not something that a lot of footballers have the God-given ability to do. So in that respect, if Arteta's not going to use him, I'd rather he sell him for two reasons. One, for the player's career, because I do understand that the player is a quality player and does deserve to get minutes, whether it's not for Arsenal, for definitely another football club. And two, because he's actually a player that can sell for some money. It's not like a Mohamed El Neni that's sitting on the bench, for example, that you're not going to get much resale value for. So Arteta's the manager. He's ruthless. I appreciate that because he's a Haaland boy, he probably doesn't want to sell him. But if you're not going to use him, move on from him. But it's still early in the season, right? Like I said last year, who would have thought Reece Nelson would be massive for us last season in his goals against Forest, Bournemouth, etc. There will be a time for Smith Rowe this season. I'm 100% sure of that, man. You always need to stay ready. And we'll give him some time to obviously impact the game as time goes on. But he will definitely need more minutes as we progress through the season. And finally, the fourth goal. By this time, the game was over. I already set up my live stream for 3.5. And then Ødegaard whips in. This one was very reminiscent. Obviously, at nowhere near the same impact or tension on the line. But the way this whipped in and the way he headed it, it was kind of very similar to Danny Welbeck's goal against Leicester, except in the other side. The position of the Ødegaard free kick, just like Ozil, and the way he rose like a salmon. It was really nice to see Ben White score. Obviously, defenders don't score an awful lot of goals, especially Ben White. So nice to see him get on the score sheet, especially given that the match was basically over anyway. What did you think of the setup here from Arsenal? Another set-piece goal as well, by the way.
Yeah, I think, look, Ben White, I think I wanted to just touch up on him. He had a great game, I think.
Yeah.
I think Ben White does what Ben White does, and he scored this goal, I think, was really deservedly so. He was very, very influential defensively and attacking and helping Saka to just do what Saka does, and you need to allow Saka to give him space on the inside or on the outside. So choosing a good time is Ben White's speciality, and he knows what to do at the right time. So I think that's why him and Saka are really, really, really important to play together. But yeah, look, he had four clearances, 2 deceptions, something, with not enough, how should I say, like against a Bournemouth side, it's tough because sometimes we're so dominant on the ball that in defensive transitions, we're not, we can get caught cold sometimes, But I think our team have done really, really well. And I think even Gabriel and Saliba today, very, very good. I think Saliba's blocking the first half on Solanke tackle. Yeah. Solid tackle. Gabriel as well towards the end of the first half when it started to tilt towards Bournemouth a bit. Again, key in blocking the chance that came across the box. Yeah, I think our backline is getting good. And especially when you allow them to play together and give them minutes together, it's really, really good for, fluidity between the backline.
I agree with you. And I especially agree with your ratings of Saliba and Gabriel. I thought they were fantastic, man. And I don't know what it is, but away from home, I see such a confident Arsenal side. We watched the game against Brentford together in midweek, both of us. Yeah. And I remember in that game when Brentford was starting to actually put the cosh on Arsenal, I was thinking, hang on a minute, this could get a little bit dodgy. I still sat there and said, you know what? I trust us away from home. I don't know what it is. Yeah. We just look so confident away from home that we're going to keep clean sheet. That's 3 games in the Premier League this season, not counting the Carabao Cup game, where we've had 3 wins, 3 clean sheets, 6 goals scored. It's a fantastic return. If only we could apply that same focus to the home games. I don't know whether you've got an opinion on it, why we look so defensively assured and comfortable away from home, but at home it still looks a little bit ragged, a little bit frantic at times. Yeah.
It's just concentration, isn't it? I feel like away from home, we're like up against it. And I think we like to be up against it in a really weird way. We like to, how we reacted to the first goal at home against United, we were up against it and then bam, automatically switched on. So I think we're always really switched on away from home. But at home, it feels like we're a bit too comfortable and it creates a bit of laxy-daisy approach. And I think that's what we're trying to eradicate. So we'll see this season how it is. I think we haven't started the season well at home, but we'll see. We have a lot more games to go through.
I agree with you 100%. Look, it's still early, but 2 weeks later, if we see some similar results at home and away, for example, if we drop points to Man City next week, it might get to a point where I start wanting to see Arsenal play away rather than home and start looking forward to away games. Because I can't imagine a team that has a better away record than a home record at the end of the season, man. It happens obviously at times.
Yeah.
That it's just a weird one, man. A weird one. But look, at least we're still good. And we saw the result, obviously, with Man City earlier today and the Tottenham-Liverpool result as well. Arsenal and Tottenham are the only two teams unbeaten. I think every Arsenal fan can agree that our start this season has not been as impressive as our start last season. Maybe because last season was so unexpected, our start.
Yeah.
But we're still 5 wins and 2 draws. It's not a bad return whatsoever, given the caliber of teams we've played. And we've still got so much to improve on, and so many players come back from injury. So I think positive signs overall in that respect. So now let's move on to the player of the match. And you've given it to Martin Odegaard, and I 100% agree with this one as well. I think there were a few candidates, to be honest, but I don't think anyone could disagree with Martin Odegaard getting player of the match in that respect. So talk us through his stats and why you gave it to him, Rami.
Yeah, look, he's someone that, like I said, very influential. He was there in build up from the back. He was there in pressing, leading the line in the press. He was there in the final third to just play balls in behind, shoot, create little tiki-taka with him, and even with the Rice as well. They were a really good combination. I think he brought that assurance, and he wasn't zoned out the game like he was against Tottenham. So that's why I feel like that's a true captain's performance when you're really there influencing the play. So look, 89 passing accuracy. Look, passing accuracy is a weird stat because you can, like De Bruyne said in an interview, with a midfielder, you can pass side to side, and your passing accuracy can be 100% at the end of the game. But if you don't make any forward passes on your passes in behind, it's like you've done nothing as a midfielder. So that is there just to look pretty sometimes, that stat. But 71 touches. He was very influential in the final third. 2 big chances created. People were screaming midweek, and after the Tottenham game when there were comparisons with Bruno Fernandes on the timeline. For him to create, and look, he's done that. He's taken the armband and just created as much as he could in a 90-minute spell. And 1 goal, 1 assist to top it off.
Yeah, I agree with you. A very special footballer, Martin Odegaard. And I think under Mikel Arteta, I want to put him down alongside someone like Ben White, for example, as one of the most improved players at Arsenal. From where he was a player that was a star boy when he was signed by Real Madrid. It didn't quite materialize. And now, obviously, that does come down a little bit to him because obviously he was the player. But also, I do believe to circumstances. Getting signed at 15 to a club like Real Madrid is never easy. I believe it was their youngest ever signing, especially for that sort of money. It was unbelievable. He was touted as the next big thing. Didn't quite materialize. Got a loan spell out to Real Sociedad and was good. Played alongside Alexander Isak and was good. And found himself back in the Real Madrid team, but couldn't quite break into the starting 11. Mikel Arteta obviously identified the player, extended the olive branch over to him. In his first loan spell, I wasn't a massive fan. And genuinely, I remember at the end of that season speaking to you, for example, and other people as well. And I said at the end of that time thinking, you know what? I wouldn't even mind if we signed Maddison instead of him. We also went on to sign Odegaard, and I thought he started still a little bit slow. Emil Smith-Rowe was starting ahead of him, if anything, in his first season, fully at Arsenal. But last season and this season, the step up from Martin Odegaard has been absolutely immense, man. He's just now such a talent to watch. I mean, Gary Neville compared him to the likes of De Bruyne and David Silva in his last podcast. And for Gary Neville to say that, a player/pundit that notoriously doesn't say good things about Arsenal, I think that's a massive credit to him. So, yeah, I think if we do go on to do amazing things at this football club, which I do think we're well positioned to do so, Martin Odegaard, not just our captain, but as our most influential attacker, in my opinion, will have a large say in that for an absolute fact. So speaking of Martin Odegaard, here's his heat map. So drift a lot out to the right hand side, as you said earlier. Good connection and partnership with Bukayo Saka and Ben White. What do you make of Martin Odegaard today in that respect, in his positions he was taking up?
Yeah, look, right positions, the pockets were there for him to take, and then you can see sort of the development on him on the left hand side with the Zinchenko in build up. So every now and then he'd pick a good time to come deep and then to go forward. So, yeah, perfect balance. I think he found the right balance today.
I agree with you 100% in that respect as well. And really good to see Martin Odegaard back to his best, I want to say, because he is at his best when he uses the right-hand side with Saka, with Ben White. I feel like when Jack was in the team, he was allowed to occupy that right-hand side because Jack would occupy left-hand side. With Havertz, I feel like, with Havertz of Vieira, Odegaard feels like it's his duty to kind of occupy the whole midfield now and kind of drift over to the left-hand side. But stick to what you're good at, man. Trust your teammates. You've always been good in that right-hand side, linking up with Saka and Ben White. And I think he went back to basics a bit today, and it went really well. So let's talk about the attacking sequence involvements. This was a stat we used the other week, and I was really impressed with it. And it was Ben White, I believe, that led it against PSV, right? And on this occasion, we've got Martin Odegaard, who leads with 6, and that is chances created and build up to shot. So one thing I will say straight away is is this a top 10? Yeah, the top 10 players, 7 are Arsenal, 3 are Bournemouth, which is a good sign. And as you can see here, Odegaard, Jesus, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, Zinchenko, really pivotal players for this club. Let me know what you thought in what you are seeing, in this attacking sequence involvements.
Yeah, look, again, it's just to highlight how good Martin Odegaard was. And in build-up to shots, I think it's the most important, because that's really what you want to do is, you attack to shoot. So the build-up to shot is something that's really important. And you can see how pivotal he is when chances are created or chances are taken. And Jesus, I think Jesus played a great game, especially when Nelson came on. He was able to take that central role and really drift along the side. So, yeah, I think it's almost like our 3 most important players in each position: the Declan Rice, the Jesus, the Odegaard, the Saka, really there to play and to help push the team forward and help involve in shot ending sequences.
Yeah, I agree with you. And one thing that also really surprised me, well, 2 things I want to say. First, Odegaard having no shots surprised me, because this season Odegaard's been having far more shots than the season before now. And look, I don't think that's a bad thing whatsoever. I think if you want to play take a shot, it probably is Odegaard. He's one of the most technically gifted players at the club. But no shots today is a little bit of a surprising one. Another surprising one is if you look at that team there, you've got Odegaard, Jesus, Saka, Declan Rice, Nketiah, Ben White. No Havertz in the attacking sequence involvement. I'm not going to dig out Havertz because it's been a 4-0 victory, and I think everyone that's watched the channel before knows my personal opinion on Kai Havertz. But it does surprise me that he's not involved in this attacking sequence stats, meaning he did not get above 2, which for attacking player is slightly worrying in my opinion. But look, he's still got time to grow into this Arsenal team for an absolute fact. But that is something that I did look at as a potential, or like Havertz. I know he scored today. It was a gift of a penalty. But would you want to see him get more involved in the attacking sense? Because that's what we signed him for.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, that's all the analysis we've got for today. I appreciate everyone that tuned in. As always, make sure you do subscribe down below. We're at 5,000 subscribers. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, check out Rami / the Stats Optic. All his accounts will be listed in the description, including his Twitter. Arsenal won 4-0 against Bournemouth, a brilliant win, accompanied by the fact that Man City, and I guess Manchester United as well, that always helps, lost today as well. So Arsenal are now, I believe, 1 point behind Man City, right?
Yep, 1 point, yeah.
1 point behind Man City, heading into a massive week. We got Lens in the midweek on Tuesday. Hopefully have a tactical analysis up for that on Wednesday/Thursday. And then the big one before the international break. Arsenal versus Man City next Sunday. Humongous football game in this football club. Could Arsenal go top of the table heading into the international break? We hope so, man. We hope so.
Exactly. Back with a win hopefully next week.
Back with a win hopefully, exactly. But I appreciate everyone that's tuning in as always. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below, what you found from this game. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys all for tuning in, and hope to catch you all in my next video.